Coaches have different views. One coach likes you, one coach doesn't. And at the end of the day, it's how hard you work to get what you want. And I think that consistency and that hard work really brought me to that U19 Bundesliga level. Hi, my name is Michael Holzer. I'm originally from Germany. I'm a soccer coach / academy director of previously clubs in New York City. And yeah, I've been playing soccer all my life in Germany, in the U19 Bundesliga. Then I came to play college here at the D1 level. Then I played for the New York Cosmos. Then I went straight into coaching. Again, as mentioned, coached at different levels and also do a lot of private and personal coaching. My father was always my biggest idol, and because your father played and was a good player, you as a little kid want to play as well. And that's what I did. I started off being a striker, but year after year, I went a little bit back in my position. And when I was around 14, 13, I found my position, which was center mid and center defensive mid actually. And yeah, I always loved to play there, getting the ball a lot. And yeah, that's where I started, and I ended up playing in the U19 Bundesliga, which is basically like the actual Bundesliga, but for all players born under U19. And I played there, I had a great time. And usually when you play in this kind of level, a lot of American colleges like to get those players overseas. And there was like a big tournament, and a lot of coaches were there from America, and they approached the players, and I decided to come to America, and I loved the decision I took. It was the best decision of my life, and that's what brought me here.
Can you give us a little bit of how it was from 3.5 to getting into U19 Bundesliga? How was that time frame like? What did you have to do to get there? Some hardships and whatnot.
I was usually always training myself on the ball every day. I think that's a big difference to a lot of players here, that they don't spend enough time on the ball. Yes, we do have training. We had training the same amount than like you train in the US. But in Germany, kids train themselves on their own, especially in the time we have right now, what they should be doing on their own. I think that's what is a big difference. And there was definitely some difficulties on the road, because I had a period of the time where I was a little bit overweight and I had to lose weight. I had to get back in shape. So it wasn't really a straight curve into the U19 Bundesliga. It was a lot of hard work, and coaches have different views. One coach likes you, one coach doesn't. And at the end of the day, it's how hard you work to get what you want. And I think that consistency and that hard work really brought me to that U19 Bundesliga level.
One coach likes you and another doesn't. That seems to be a thing that happens a lot in soccer, right, for players. Do you have any advice on that and how kids might go about it because you went through it?
It's normal because coaches have different philosophies, and based on what they believe and what they like, they choose the player. With doesn't like, I mean as a player, not as a person. So a coach always chooses the lineup that he thinks or she thinks that they will perform and play good soccer and win the game. And this was always an extra motivation for me. If there was a coach that didn't really believe in me more than the other player, that motivated me so much that I tried to work even harder to make me like me as a player. And I think that's a mindset a lot of players should have, to really show every single person that you are a good player.
What were your biggest strengths as a player that led you to change positions?
Yeah, so in the beginning, as you know, you watch soccer videos, soccer games. So if you're a little kid, you want to score goals. And that's why I started off as a striker, and my father always wanted me to be a striker as well. Year after year, I really got to know the ball better and my positioning better, and I wasn't the fastest player. So naturally, I thought the center mid was the best fit, and coaches thought so as well. So I was really focusing early on already, around I would say 8 or 9. I knew I'm a center mid. I like to play there, and that's why I found some idols like Ronaldinho, and he was always one of my biggest idols in the middle, you know. And I watched his videos, so it was clear to me really early on that I want to play center mid, and I stick there, and I'm happy I still play there.
What kind of advice would you give to kids out there who are still looking to find their position?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about testing out, because I really tried out everything. I played every single position, really, besides being a goalkeeper, because, you know, Germans are usually not that talented with their hands. That's why soccer is the most popular sport. But yeah, I really tried out every position, and I had the most fun there. I got the ball a lot. I could make the game. But other players that are fast like to be on the wing because they have more space to run forward. It really depends on your preference. And I think not every player is born naturally to be a certain position player. It's also on what you focus early on, what you train, what you want, and that really makes you at one point find your position. Yeah, my advice is that they spend as much time on the ball as possible on their own, because if you train with your club maybe 3-4 times a week, but this is not enough. My coaches in Germany always told me the street soccer and the time at home you play with the ball is that what really makes you the player, because you train longer, you spend so much time with the ball. I think a lot of players should do that. They should really get the work in, either on their own or with a private coach or some sort of supplemental training, because at the end of the day, the more you train, the better you get. And often, and that's just my personal opinion, the quality of training in the United States is not good enough in terms of touches on the ball. The players don't get enough touches throughout the whole sessions, players running laps, jogging for 25 minutes around the field instead of doing the warm-up with the ball. And I think spend as much time with the ball as possible, try out new things, play some 1v1s, 2v2s on the street or in your garden. I think that those are really my helpful advices.
What are your thoughts on the strengths or shortcomings of US soccer compared to Germany?
There's a big change in terms of their methodology and their philosophy. I think in Germany, everything is a little bit slower, but more tactical and more technical. So players really stick to a plan of a coach. And in America, it's more of a fast-paced game, more of an athletic game in comparison to Germany. So I think those are really big difference. American coaches often tend to like the fastest, tallest, strongest player. And in Germany, that's not the case. So if you have a fast, strong, tall player, but he can't touch the ball and has no touch on the ball, he's not going to see any playing time. And I think this is a really big difference between both, but the trend has gotten better now. So I think that the US has a good chance to really change that now and to get on the level than all the European countries if things will get right now. And I think it's important with all these changes now in the US soccer scene that now is the time to apply those. There's unlimited potential here in this country. There's so many players, so many clubs. We just have to make sure that these players stick with the sport, because statistics says that most players stop playing soccer with 13, 14, and I think that's a problem. A coach should not only be a coach, he needs to be a mentor, he needs to make it fun, he needs to make the players fall in love with the game. And I think that's a lot of times not the case. Coaches are worried about their paycheck, they just want to do their job, but as a coach you need to be more than a coach. You need to have an ear for your players about their problems, talk with them individually. So that's really also one of my big philosophies as a coach, that I see the communication and human side. I mean, I'm like that especially because I have a master's degree in communication. So I really believe that this is very important to have that kind of mentorship. But yeah, every coach is different. Some disagree, but if you ask for my opinion, that's my answer.
So talking about philosophies and like the areas that you put the most focus on as a coach, what would you say those areas are, like in particular to your coaching style?
Players should control the ball, not the ball should control the player. And for me, technique and a first touch is key for everything, it's instrumental. And I think for me, every player is gonna spend as much time on the ball as possible in every single training session. And this is one of my main philosophies in terms of my training style. I want to make it fun, engage, competitive, and really have a relationship with each player. But you can't always have the perfect relationship with a player. Some like you, some think you don't do things right, some dislike you, but as long as you have a relationship, a respectful relationship with each players on your team, the players will respect you in the long term.
Why coach? What do you like the most about coaching?
To be honest, I like coaching more than playing, because I think you can have such a good impact on so many individuals, so many players. You can change up lives, you can build characters, you can do so much as a coach. And I think it's really combining my two passions, which are soccer and also communicating with people. And I think coaching is just the ideal fit for my personality, because I like to talk, I like to communicate, I like the game. I think that's why I really sticked with coaching.
What do you understand better as a coach now that you didn't as a player?
I understand as a coach better that it's sometimes very difficult to speak to every single player. So I was a player, as mentioned before, I was a bit of sensitive early on, and I always expected that the coach praises me every training individually or criticizes me individually. So I always wanted that special attention. But if you're a coach, it's really hard to give that to every single player. So you really have to kind of take notes and have a statistic with yourself. Did you really engage with every single player every week? And I really try to do that because it makes them feel important. It makes them feel happy to give that detailed attention to everyone. And I think as a player, I really got annoyed when there was a week he didn't say anything to me. I was just there training and playing, but I understand now as a coach that it's really difficult to do so.
Why record games from a coach's point of view?
I mean, it's important as a coach. You usually stand on the sideline, okay? And you have to focus and manage so many aspects of your team that it's almost impossible. It is impossible to really see everything. So that's why if you have a camera that's a little bit higher up, you really see the full pitch every time. You can watch it at home. You or your staff can watch it calm at home to really see everything. Because during the game, I'm very emotional. You know, you're very, very stressed. You want to make sure things are going well, and you cannot focus on everything. So recording the game is one of the most important things to analyze it, to make sure that's your point for next week's training, to find some weaknesses, some things you did good and bad. So recording the game is absolutely crucial.
And what about, so that was coaches, what about young players? How can game footage help young players improve?
Yeah, as a college coach, especially, as I know, college coaches look at game footage, look at videos. This is basically the introduction of how you present yourself as a player, so the coaches get to know you. So players nowadays should always try to record themselves, whatever they do. When I was young, I didn't have that tool. There was a big difference then, but I think if I would be born again now, I would put a camera on everything I do, because social media, especially the time now, is important. You have to make sure you record your good stuff. And that's actually what I'm doing right now. I've been uploading some skill videos. I really enjoy doing that now, and to keep in shape, to get fit, to get a bit tan, and that's basically the reason why I started those videos. I'm actually upset that the cameras didn't really exist back then, because I did play some really nice passes, you know. I was always that assist king, but never got the recognition, because the striker scored and all the glory is on the stat, which back in the days they only looked at the goals, you know, who scored the goals. Yes, they mentioned the assists sometimes, but with that, what you just mentioned, I think that could really help, especially a lot of midfielders or defenders that don't really score a lot of goals but are amazing players, to really get recognized, to really get that exposure they need and they deserve.
What are your goals? What do you hope to achieve out in California as a coach?
I like working with players individually and privately or in groups. And once those restrictions are gone, I would love to coach as many youth players as possible privately, because I think they would benefit greatly from it. Again, through my communication and methodology, I think I would be kind of more than a coach. I would be more like a mentor. I'm not just providing a service for 1 hour and then I'm done. I really make sure the players performing well. I watch some games, I communicate with the parents and usually the player as well, because I think it's very important that players early on understand how to communicate with someone, and it's going to help them in their future life. So yeah, I think that's something that could definitely help me and the players.